I was sitting in a tavern with a bunch of other vets and everything else were drinking, and at that time the TVs finally came on. And all of a sudden, they interrupted their broadcast. China invaded, helping North Korea, and they go after the South Korean and American troops. And we all screamed at them, and so he says, let's go downtown and re-enlist. One soldier came up and told me, he says, you're going to Korea. He says, you're going to leave and go to Korea in about a week. I said, that's what I joined the Army for.
Everybody was going because of the conflict over there, and that's so we figured that's your duty, you know.
The first thing, it was enlightening, you know. We got off the bus, and all of a sudden this guy starts talking real nasty to you. Okay, you guys line up. Get and then the next thing was the haircut, you know. A butch, no hair, shaved, just like the guys do today. And it was very enlightening. You snapped to and started doing what you had to do when he said it, not when you felt like saying it.
As a combat soldier, you don't have a nice house to live in anymore. You're living in a bunker facilities. You're eating C-ration food. And you have a disciplinary thing such as you cannot be within 5 foot of another soldier. You just did not have the comforts of home.
Our job as radio operators, you had to go where something was happening. We didn't have the luxury of sometimes being stationed someplace and not being used. We were always being used because there was always something. The Army areas were so big, the 8th Army was so big, there was always something going on someplace. So your chances of being sent someplace with action it was very possible.
Up on the mountaintop, we had a view of the whole North Korea coast, and we seen line and lines of trucks coming down, bringing the troops down. It was just an endless, like in Chicago over here on 94, truck after truck. So we had a bird-eye view of that because we seen the whole North Korean coast.
Then all of a sudden, I heard two voices there was about 12 of us, I think, spread out along this pile of rocks. And I heard voices on the other side, and they weren't American voices. And I became concerned because then I became afraid of a hand grenade or an explosive device that would, you know, really harm me. And I thought, well, somebody's got to do something. So I jumped up and I had my M1 rifle, and it has 8 rounds. And I looked down, and there was 2 young Chinese soldiers, and I was practically next to them. And I pulled the trigger 8 times, moving it towards each of them, and they dropped down, I presume dead or wounded.
And I heard the shell, but then I didn't hear it no more. I dropped down to the ground, and the shell hit our bunker right in the middle, and all I did was see a big orange ball. And I looked out, and I looked from my helmet. I felt like a turtle because it seemed like my helmet covered my whole body. So one medic asked me, he says, where were you at if you were in here? You didn't get hurt. I told him I was right here, right next to the door. He said, you sure? I said, yeah. Since I squatted down, I told him how my helmet, what it looked like after, you know, it looked like a turtle. He said, you're lucky. He says, he turned around. He says, see this hole? That would have been your head.
I contact my wife, get me out of here, you know, I don't want to die in this godforsaken. You know, that was one of my experiences when I seen what we were over there to take and protect. That country was so prehistoric to me. What were we doing there losing all of our fellas, you know? That was ridiculous.
It stayed with me a long while, and it stayed, and even when I came back, I'd have nightmares. And I still have not nightmares, but I still sometimes wake up and I think I'm going to Korea again. I said, I don't want to go, you know. And I wake up and say, hell, I'm 84 years old now.
So when I came home, I had my bags where my mother lived at. My oldest brother lived downstairs. She lived upstairs where I used to live too. And as I walked up there, nobody answered the door. I walked in. So there's my wife and my mother living, standing next to the table in the dining room. My two sisters standing next to her. And my other brothers there sitting on the couch. I could see in the front room. And nobody got up to meet me. But then they all turned their heads at the corner of the room. And away she came out. And when she came out, I dropped my bags. I hugged my arms. I hugged her, and she hugged me. We kissed and cried. Then 2 weeks later, we married.
It was a police action just like everything else. Iraq, and, you know, we're going over there, and people don't consider it a war. It's still a police action, you know, they call it. But like I told you, well, you know that. 54,000 guys lost over there. And that's absurd.
Anytime you can avoid war, avoid it. It's stupid. It's stupid people who are always pushing for something that somebody does not want to give them. You're always pushing for that. Don't. That's the one thing that I would go for. And if we got kids stationed all over the world, I said bring them home.